They missed 10 tackles in the game last year, and 4 of them were on Pavia. So that's I think that's the biggest key to me. When you have a chance to get him on the ground, do you get him on the ground?
Lane Kiffin winning the week, as Brent said. Here you go after that big win over the Bayou Bengals.
We believe in our players. We go for it on 4th down a lot, and glad they made plays. I'm looking for Witt right now to see if he covered over.
Only Witt, and we need to get to when Reese, we'll ask him about that, because I think Lane's the only one that can say that. We'll have to ask him if he knows another coach that's willing to say that. And this is the best one, Wes. Like, so Rece Davis, make sure, because I see you in the room now. We're going to pull you up in a minute, but I want to make sure, Reese, that you see this one, this Podium King, because you're going to absolutely love it.
I think we're pulling him up right now, DP.
Hello, I'm Reese Davis, and welcome to this ESPN Classic special presentation of the USFL, featuring the Memphis Showboats and the Los Angeles Express from April of 1984. I'm Reese Davis. Thank you for watching ESPN Classic.
Hands together for Mr. Rece Davis.
Why did you speed it up to 1.5? I sure hope you sped it up just a little bit.
No, that was normal speed. What are you talking about, Reese? Hey, since that, how old were you in that moment? You think, Reese? Guess. I'm
going to guess. I was 29 when I got to ESPN. Started doing SportsCenter when I was 30, probably 31, something like that.
Okay, I was just wondering if you'd hit puberty yet. So you debunked that. I was wondering if those.
But the answer to that is probably no. Probably still no.
Reese, we're about halfway through the season. What have you learned halfway through this college football season?
I'm not sure there's a dominant team. There are really good ones. I think at the moment, Miami deserves to be number 1, and they might well be the best team. But Ohio State was really impressive Saturday. Now, I didn't, because of what you just mentioned, what we talked about, I didn't watch the game until this morning. I knew what had happened, but I went back and watched the game this morning. And they were just terrific. They're terrific defensively. And I think Saban's going to keep getting better, and everybody knows the weapons. But I'm not sure that either of those teams really head and shoulders above everybody else. I think Oregon's really good too. So I think that's the number one thing. And I think the other thing I've learned, David, is I think we're going to have some 3-loss teams in the playoff. And I know we're going to have several 2-loss teams.
Yeah. Have you changed your mind? Like, I think my mind's kind of shifting a little bit this direction. I was looking at the SEC and I'm like, clearly the best conference, top to bottom, so many challengers. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of feel a little bit differently about that. I'm not sure there's a dominant team. I can find a couple. You already mentioned Oregon and Ohio State. I think I can find a couple in the Big Ten, but who's the best team in the SEC? I don't know.
It might be. Look, I know Ole Miss is going to get mad at me because a couple of weeks ago I still didn't have them ranked, and I was skeptical about them going into the season. I saw them when I watched them play Arkansas. I thought they were fortunate to get out of there with that one. But you know what? They're getting better and better. They're certainly always dangerous. Lane's an unbelievable, offensive coach, and I think Chambliss has. I know Austin Simmons is their guy, and I know what he says, and I keep looking at this guy, and he throws for 3 bills and runs for 100 every week, or close to it. But it might be A&M, it might be Ole Miss. I don't know. I thought it was LSU for a while. It's clearly not them. So I think we might be very similar to last year, David, in that there are capable teams in the SEC. There are teams that can win the national championship there, but I don't know that there are dominant elite teams in there. There just might be teams that can figure out ways to win big games.
Well, and we've wanted that for years.
Yeah.
Like every fan base has been talking about that. Like, I'm tired of watching this and I'm tired of watching that. And now we finally got it. Like, we've got the parity. So the great Rece Davis joins us here on See Ball, Get Ball. What's one thing that we aren't talking about enough? Like, what's one thing in the sport that, because I know you're doing the prep every week, and you're always looking for stuff to uncover and things to talk about and things that people aren't talking about. Is there anything that's sticking out with you that, like, this needs to be talked about more?
I would almost say, and I'm not just trying to spread the wealth, but I think it might be that even though they lost at Mississippi State, that a team like Arizona State, a team like Texas Tech, might not be far off from being a contender. Maybe we're not paying quite enough attention to the Big 12. I mean, Texas Tech has played one game for all intents and purposes. You know, the other ones.
They did slap Utah, though. They
did. I mean, that was a dominant performance, too. You know, we've got a little bit of a film room jinx going with Nick's film room thing that we do. We showed Devin Dampier, and then we showed Damon Williams, and you know they both got bottled up pretty good immediately afterwards. So I think maybe it's that, and if we are in a season in which a lot of different teams could win, then maybe it's one of those teams from a little bit off the radar. We're probably still, even after what they did to Illinois, underappreciating Indiana. I mean, you know, if one of these quote unquote big time programs, you know, if I don't, these guys have coaches. I don't want to act as if I'm calling for jobs, but if there's a big job that opens someplace, perceived big job, why would you just not go and see if Kirk Cignetti would take the job? I don't care that he's 64. Coaches generally aren't staying for 15 years anymore anyway. So try to get 6-7 really good years and have it in good shape. Google him. He's going to win, you know? So that's what I would do. Right.
Well,
am I wrong? Do you disagree with me or not?
No, I don't disagree with you, and he can also bring his whole roster from Indiana like he did with James Madison, which would help. But
you know, the other thing is he might not want to do it. I mean, I think the way the sport is right now, you can win a lot of places. For instance, I don't think it's some foregone conclusion that if the job everybody's talking about, they offer it to Lane Kiffin, why would he take that job? I mean, they screwed themselves up last year. They should have been in the playoff last year. It was nothing about Ole Miss's money or commitment or players that kept them out. They screwed up a couple of games.
I think there's also something too, man, like when you get to bring in a guy that you bring in a guy like Cignetti, instant also cachet, because he's going to be fun because he's a quote machine. Like he's going to say the entertaining stuff. He's going to take shots, take swipes, which who doesn't love that? Like I love a coach that's going to have a little bit of a backbone. I'm good with that.
I am too. And I've got your answer from your Podium Kings for just a second. You said who else beside Lane could get away with that? I've got one for you. Fran Brown.
Cignetti and Fran Brown.
Cignetti too. Yeah.
Yes.
I love Fran, man. He's great.
Is Lane Kiffin, like you watch him and you watch him, first of all, I'm sure you watched the special and it was fantastic. Like loved watching that, loved seeing that. Mm-hmm. And it's been fun, Reese, to see a kid grow up in front of us. Cause that's what he was, man. Like to have that, but now you watch him and he's winning the portal, he has that, he's adjusted to college football and what it is. So you think it's about him adjusting more than growing as a coach, or is it a combination of both?
I think it's probably a combination of both. And I think when you hear Lane talk about things that are important to him that he had put at risk through his own decisions that he has seemingly rectified, that makes you feel better about things for him than anything else. I mean, that's a wonderful thing because it's the thing that lasts. So I do think a lot of it is just maturity. A lot of it's growing up. A lot of, hey, look, man, we're all, except you're the only one not aging. The rest of us are getting older. And, so maybe it's just something that comes along with age. But I'm very happy to see. Now, he's always been entertaining. He's never, what did they call him in his family when he was a kid? I think they called him the helicopter because he would come in and, stir everything up and kick up all the dirt. So he's always going to have that quality. And as you mentioned, we love that. It's fun. It's awesome. It gives us something to talk about. He knows that. He's great content. So he's never going to lose that. But I think some of the things that were beyond the pale seem to be a thing of the past, and that's probably good for him, good for Ole Miss, and good for everybody associated with it.
Yeah, and if you didn't see the documentary, what you missed was one of my favorite moments was just what Reese just said. Jeff Tedford made them all wear knee braces, and Lane took his knee brace off because he's like, "Screw this, I'm not getting reps." So, coach, kick rocks, and Tedford went and had a talk with him. They go in the back, and then he comes out for the team pictures and homeboy has a polo on. He's no longer a player because obviously Derek Carr had joined the mix and he was clearly going to be the guy. And Lane's like, all right, screw it. Forget this. I'll go move on. I'll go be a coach. Like, that is one of the coolest stories that I've ever heard. That's your helicopter right there. Just walking in, like, stirring it up. I'm not wearing a knee brace. Forget you. And then leaving. Like, that's how Lane used to be. But let's get some other teams too, man. What do you feel about A&M? They're obviously ranked high. Gigham's got a chance to continue to grow. The weapons have been pretty daggum crazy. I mean, they've been really good. So, but what do you think about the Aggies so far? And are you buying some staying power? Are you looking them to make the playoffs? Like, how do you feel about the Aggies?
I am buying some staying power with them, but I still want to see some more from Marcel Reed. Now, I know the numbers look great, but I'm talking about down the field. What they've been great at, Craver, Concepcion, they've been great at yards after the catch. So downfield's a little bit more, suspect. But I've got high regard for Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's really good. You go in there, you win the game the way they did. I think it builds confidence. So I do buy A&M. They've got a lot of guys back. I think people sort of overlooked that in the offseason through all of the Arch Manning craze and people Texas returned on defense and and Georgia and is Alabama better and all of this in terms of the SEC. I mean, and you sort of overlooked the fact that A&M had a lot of dudes back, especially the big fellas, and then they really supplemented them with guys out of the portal. They've given them some explosive capabilities on the outside. Guys
that can run. Speaking of explosive capabilities, you work with Nick now, and I want to know who told him about putting the white suit on. Was that? I want to know how that went and how Coach took that. Was it in stride? He was good with it, or nobody tells me what to wear.
No. Here's what happened. So our coordinating producer, Matt Garrett, has this idea, and he calls me, and I said, yeah, I'm in. And Matt, to his credit, was like, everybody has to be in. Everybody bring a backup suit. And they fitted us. Those were new suits that haberdashery in State College came up with. It's up in my closet now. Maybe I'll find an occasion to wear it again someday. But
I can't imagine. First of all, I can't imagine like how you felt putting a normal suit on, because Mr. Rece Davis putting on a suit that is off the rack, not custom, not nice and silky. Did you kind of feel like a D lineman like me a little bit?
I felt like I was either about to put somebody 6 feet under, or I was about to serve the appetizers. One of the two. I was either about to lower a casket in the ground, or I was going to say, "Would you like some crudité, or something?"
I thought you were going to sing some Backstreet Boys to me. That's what I thought you were going to do.
It could have been that. There were some memes that said that. But anyway, what happened was, so Garrett goes, "Well, I'm going to call Nick," and so he calls him, and fortunately for us and the entire bit, which was, I think, pretty well received, Miss Terry and Kristen happened to be there, and they thought it was a splendid idea. So they got Nick on board, and then off we go.
Happy wife, happy life. Amazing. It's very, very simple. What do you think about Pavia this week, man? I've seen I'll be interested too with the film room if y'all do something like this, because that offense is one of the biggest pains in the arse. Like they do such a good job of reading different defenders and putting you in conflict all the time. It's literally like plugging a dike. Now listen, they don't have the most smashed guys up front that are going to hammer you and the most talent, but stopping Pavia, like Bama, obviously off of a big win. Georgia's a huge rival. Like now coming, I think obviously Vanderbilt has their attention, but is Pavia about to meet a big test and not respond, and Vanderbilt going to come back down to earth, or do you think Vandy's got some staying power and they're going to go blow for blow?
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, because one of the things that Alabama has struggled with, and everybody's going to say running quarterbacks, but Alabama's tackle percentage, you get in those deep stats in terms of number of tackles made and opportunities for tackles, is just about 80%. That ranks like 112th in the country. That's a bad recipe with that guy. They've also given up some scramble yards. Now, Diego hasn't run as much as you've seen this year. He hasn't had to. Nope. I think Alabama suspects that there are some wrinkles awaiting them. I do think one of the things, I think Alabama might have gotten a little cute last year. And cute's the wrong word. They might have tried too hard to scheme it up because they knew it was difficult to stop. And I think they got their guys playing slow and unsure. But they missed 10 tackles in the game last year, and 4 of them were on Pavia. So I think that's the biggest key to me. When you have a chance to get him on the ground, do you get him on the ground? Because they're not great in run defense. They don't have those big guys that they've had to shut down a conventional running game, let alone one that is as creative as Vanderbilt's. Now, I think Alabama's a better team. I think that they will be in a better mental space than they were because they're in the same place. They'd beaten Georgia last year in a hard-fought, blow-for-blow, wild, emotional game. So they're in the same spot there. But I do think that they'll be in a better mental place against them. But that doesn't guarantee them much. Vanderbilt's good. And the thing that we talk a lot about Bama, David, think about what's at stake for Vanderbilt. If Vanderbilt wins this game, first of all, side note, they're bowl eligible. And instead of throwing a parade down Broad Street, which they've always done when Vanderbilt's become bowl eligible, whatever, we're trying to go to the playoff. We're trying to win the SEC. Now, do I think they're going to win the SEC? Probably not. But if they beat Alabama Saturday, they're in it. I mean, you've got to contend with them, and they're certainly, I think they're certainly a playoff contender if they win this game Saturday. And maybe anyway. It's not like they're going to cancel the season if they lose the game, but I think they will certainly announce that they're in the mix if they were to win Saturday.
Well, and before last year, they were 0-60 against top 5 teams.
Right.
Like I'm not. That's pretty good history. That's pretty good numbers.
Do you know? And even though I grew up there, went to school there, know a lot about the history, I learned something about Alabama football today that I did not know.
That?
You know what the worst loss in Alabama history is?
By points?
By score, yes.
Vanderbilt by
78 to nothing.
Ooh. Gow. What year was that? Like 1912?
I think I got to look at my notes. I think it was like 1906 or something like that. And
so you were only 6 years old at that time? That's
I never should have said that. I know better than that. I know better than that. The funny thing about that game is that, at least what I read today, was that, it was 1906, that Alabama tried to reschedule the game because it said 7 of their 11 players. Now, I don't know if that meant they had to go recruit other guys off campus or, substitution rules were different. So it's 7 of their 11 players hurt. So they were like, hey, could we play later? And Vanderbilt's like, no, we'll just come beat you 78 to nothing insteed. So.
Yeah, you're holding that L and liking it, and we're going to use that for years to come. Hey, the great Rece Davis joins us. We did this thing the other day. We do a deep dive on different teams, and we did it on Oregon. And I'll be curious to ask your answer to this question. Who would you take in all of college football right now? Take age into account, everything. Who would you take over Dan Lanning? That means, you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means we asked a pretty good question. If Rece Davis just went,
Yeah, taking everything into account.
You have to take the ages into account because obviously he's a younger guy, but you can take whatever you want into account and tell me that you're taking who over Dan Lanning.
Yeah, I mean there are some that I would think are maybe his equal. I mean he hasn't beaten DeBoer. He's 0-2 against him, but he'd be right at the top of the list, David. It'd be very hard with the way he understands, the way he connects with players, and the way he understands the bigger picture of college football right now with, acquiring talent. He'd probably have to be right at the top of the list. So, although the guy in Athens, the reports of the demise of the guy in Athens has been greatly exaggerated.
Okay. All right. So I got another question for you then. Okay. If that's the case, is Georgia more likely to go 10-2 or 8-4?
10-2. They're Georgia. I mean, right now, after having that loss that I didn't think they would have, probably right in the middle is where they'll land, is my guess.
Yes.
But
I agree too.
But maybe not. But if you tell me, are they going to lose 3 more or 1 more? I'm going to say 1 more.
Yeah. I think it's, and we talked about it going into the season, man. I just, like, who were the All-Americans on defense? Who were those guys that, like, because you've been able to take your hat and go, I'm going to hang my hat on this guy, this guy, to rush the passer, to dominate the line of scrimmage. And, man, they got 4 sacks in 4 games. And wait a minute. Yep, Ty Simpson just had more time to throw the football and just completed another pass on 3rd down. Like, how do they fix that? Like, I like what I'm seeing from Gunner. I like the running game. But defensively, man, it's just so not what I'm. And listen, take away the greatest defensive stretch probably in the history that will never happen again. And if NIL was in that era, it would have never continued. Like, there would have been guys going all over the place. But
I mean, that Georgia defense won the Super Bowl last year, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, so it's. I think they're fine, but that is an era of spoiled defenders, guys who could wreck games. I remember when that great Tennessee team with Hendon Hooker came down there and played. And even a guy who didn't have the accolades and didn't, have the accolades the other guys had. I remember watching Nazir Stackhouse basically wreck the game for Tennessee. He was like, okay, my turn here. And, he was terrific that day. I thought, after watching that, he's going to be, ultra elite. He's still a really good player. I'm not trying to say he wasn't, but he didn't probably do what Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, people like that did. So.
No, there's no doubt. What's fun to watch is it's fun to watch the parity. I love it. It makes it more fun to cover week in and week out. Like, it's not just like the spreads used to be asinine, right? It used to be like crap. Like, the Vandy-Alabama game used to be like, all right, Najee Harris is going to rush for over 300. Like, that was literally kind of how you thought about, like, they were going to ground and pound to a nub and they would not be able to. Vandy couldn't move the football. And, now all of a sudden, man, it's kind of fun. We get to talk about more teams, which is awesome because there's so many teams that are still in this thing. And that's, more cities, more. Like, did you ever think you'd do a Vanderbilt at Bama college game day?
No.
I mean,
never. Yeah.
That wasn't on the bingo card at any point.
No. I mean, I think the show's been there one time, like in 2008, and they played Auburn and they won that game, but they've been off the radar, been so bad for so long. And then I give Clark Lee credit. You were talking about the Kiffin special. If you watch the SEC special too in the Vanderbilt episode, I mean, you couldn't help but be impressed with what he's built, and also the wisdom to innovate and bring Tim Beck and Diego Pavia in and Jerry Kill and change the way he'd done things, realizing you have to be a little bit different at Vanderbilt. And they've caught lightning in a bottle a little bit with Diego because it's not just the system. You also have this guy who just sort of is a swashbuckling kind of quarterback that enjoys that stage, and it's really worked for them. And I think they're really, really good. Do I think they're going to win the SEC? I don't, but I think they might have a say in who does before it's over.
And just imagine, like, what could have been for Auburn, because Auburn lost to New Mexico State and Diego Pavia. Think if Auburn went in there and grabbed Diego and had Diego the last 2 years with that run game, like with those receivers, with that defense, like that could have been something pretty special. Like, that might have changed Auburn's folks' minds if that happened. Last thing, Reese, and I'll get you out of here. I want to know what your first job was. Like, the first job you had that you like, okay, I can do this, how this started to get you to where you're at.
Oh, you mean TV job? You're not. You're not talking about when I was washing 18-wheelers for Weyerhaeuser. You're not talking about.
I just can't. I don't believe for a second you did that.
Absolutely did that.
Did you in Muscle Shoals, Alabama? That's what people
This
did
guy
that?
this guy who worked for them had a contract with them, and on Saturdays, his stepson and I would go up there and we wash those trucks. You make a little folding money, a little bit.
Now that would be like that would not. Yeah. Anyways.
The first job I had was at the CBS affiliate in Tuscaloosa. Now that's way different from knowing that I could do it. I think probably I gained some confidence in Columbus, Georgia, because I was there for a really long time, but I couldn't get out. So when I really felt like I might have something going was when I went to Flint. Now I had confidence in Columbus, but when you aren't getting any sniff at all to go up the ladder, and you're sending out hundreds of tapes and not hearing anything, you question yourself a little bit. And I might have told you this story before, but when I went to Flint, I walked into the news director's office a couple of weeks after I'd been there. And I said, "Why did you hire me?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "I've been trying to move up forever. Couldn't get a sniff. Why did you hire me?" And he said, "Your station and the technical quality had some issues." He said, "And obviously, it's a subjective business." He said, "But we actually watched your tape and thought, okay, what's he going to look like on our set? What's he going to sound like? And what are his stories going to look like with our photographers and our editors?" And he said, that was why. And I was there. I refer to him, his name is Jim Bleicher. I refer to him as the man who saved my career. I actually spent an afternoon with him this summer. He and his wife came over and joined Lee and me. We went to one of Christopher's baseball games in Joliet, Illinois. He lives in Chicago now. And so, but he's the guy who saved my career. And I think when he hired me and things went well in Flint, that was when I decided I knew that I could do this for sure.
That's Flint, Michigan, right?
Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, like that. It's just so awesome. Again, another story, another week for us here, and just to watch like people believe in you before you believe in you, and then what that leads to, and it just takes one. It just takes one person. And you you spent out those tapes. Like nowadays, obviously those wouldn't be tapes. Now you'd be sending like digital copies out, but you were you were sending the legit tapes, weren't you?
Yeah, I was getting like legit. And well, that was another problem too, because our station in Columbus was on 3/4-inch tapes, and most of the rest of the free world was on beta by then. So there's a possibility that they're like, this guy works at a station with 3/4-inch tapes. Whoop, and threw it right out. But so I don't know.
He's out of here right away. All right, Reese. Well, you're a great friend. You're great at what you do. Look forward to watching you this weekend. Obviously, I'm sure you'll have something up your sleeves with Vandy and Alabama that will be fun and unique and cool. But we appreciate your time, Big Homie, like always.
Yeah, feelings mutual, man. It was a special weekend, made even better because the Pollacks were with us. We appreciate you guys coming up, man.
All right. Appreciate you, Big Homie. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Peace.